After years on the road, Toomey parked the van and picked up the mic to bring you this podcast that features interviews with people from hardcore to hair metal. This is Talk Toomey with your host, Joshua Toomey.
Are we ready?
Yeah, we are ready to go. We are recording.
Oh my God, okay. How's Primer 55 doing? What are you doing with that?
I haven't played in Primer in, 10 years almost, but...
Okay. Excuse me, I did a little research on you. I didn't know too much about you, to be honest, but I did check you out.
Well, I appreciate that.
My clan stalked you out to see if you were legit.
Well, hopefully I'm legit. Yeah, the Joey Z came on the podcast when I first started it a couple of years ago, so you've definitely been a bucket list guest to have on this show.
Thank you, and I like the mails that you've been sending me with your show and all your guests and stuff like that. Thank you for that.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I just that was one of the things I wanted to do for 2017 was to kind of be more proactive in the email area.
Yeah, that's cool. That's nice. I appreciate that. Thank you. How's your weekend been so far?
It's been good so far. It's I'm battling a cold, so I'm trying to not sound too nasally on my own podcast.
Oh, it's okay.
But how are you? Do you live up in Brooklyn or up in the New York area?
I'm in Brooklyn, yes. Back in Brooklyn, I should say, because I am kind of... Well, now that I have Tony, my dog, she's been with me. I had her since she's about 5 or 6 weeks old, and she's been with me now for almost... This summer, she'll be 4. So ever since Tony's come into my life, my bohemian... nomad ways have kind of subsided. So I don't travel and live in different cities as much as I used to. So I am back in Brooklyn, more domesticated than I have ever been in my entire life. So, I'm a bit more stable when it comes to like my living situations. Otherwise, I'm like, I'm fucking a month in California. I'm 2 months in Amsterdam. I'm 2 weeks in Berlin. But now that I have her, I'm enjoying my domestic mommy life.
There you go. That's actually one thing I wanted to talk to you about on this was when I met you when I was like, let's see, I'm 30.
You look a little familiar. I feel like I've met you before.
Yeah, I posted a picture of you and I from '96 earlier today. But when I met you as a kid, I was probably 14, 15 when I first met you guys. And you were the first person to ever really let it sink in that the music business wasn't all it was cracked up to be, because I think I asked you back then something along the lines of like, what do you do with your house when you're not at home? And you're like, I still live with my grandparents. And I was like, wow, like the Life of Agony band, still live at home. And that blew my mind as a kid because, when I think of that as a kid, you think you signed the big record deal and you've got houses upon houses and all this crazy stuff. So yeah, that was a crazy thing as a kid meeting you guys.
Well, when did we meet actually? Because it could have been, first of all, I left I left home when I was 17, 18 years old. But there was a point where I needed to go back because my dad died. And when my dad was sick and my dad was taking care of his parents, which were my grandparents, who I grew up with.
Yeah.
And when my dad died, I had to move back home to pretty much take care of my grandmother and grandfather because they had Alzheimer's, they had dementia. They were pretty much decaying rapidly in a way an old timer doesn't want to decay.
Yeah.
So I had to go back home and take care of family. So you might have hit me on that period, but yeah, the industry's not, people think it's all glitz and glamour, but it's the furthest thing, I really rely on people buying my music, especially my solo music. Every sale counts,
Absolutely.
It really does. Because I own all my masters. I do everything on my own except for Died Laughing. It's the only one that is the only master that's owned by um, a label. Now I think Universal owns it and Roadrunner. Okay, I think Roadrunner sold it to Universal, or they've conglomerated. I don't know. I don't really keep up with them, but yeah, I definitely make a living, but it gets harder and harder in a sense. It depends. It depends. There's ups and downs, just like any other business. Um, but it is a business, and it's definitely suffering more than it ever has been because of what's how the internet has pretty much changed the dynamic of of everything, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just in the music industry, it's in the entertainment industry, um all around. It's in theater, it's in music, it's in movies, it's in Hollywood, it's in the indie film situation. It's not just in the music industry, but yes, as we reach 2020 and 2030, and it's
It sounds
it's
crazy.
I'm not saying it's scary because I'm all up for change and stuff like that, but I am definitely old school, and I do indeed romanticize about still the old values of the music industry. Like, I still love to hold vinyl. I still love to suss with. I love my CD collection, my vinyl collection. I've never downloaded music once in my life. I buy all the artists still. I've there's albums I've bought 10 times already, like send to friends. And I'm an old romantic like that. I still suss out music. I hold on dearly to, even now, even like in the Lower East Side in New York City, or all the really important record shops still that are hanging on by threads in the Manhattan area. I'm going there. I'm shopping like I'm still in 1980s. You know what I mean? Flipping through records, like that scene in Clockwork Orange where he's
Right.
flipping through records. That's me totally. Like, I'm an old romantic when it comes to art. And yeah, I could get everything for free if I want, but I I choose to buy my artists, the artists that I love. I yearn for that. I like that old romantic feeling, like waiting for a record. I could give a fuck who's releasing what little clip soon. I hate that shit. I'm
Yeah.
not. I'm an old romantic when it comes to that. Like, I love to wait. I don't need to see no title track list. I don't need to see shit. I don't need to see or hear anything. I can't wait to go to the record store. I'm running to go buy the new Jack White or the new Sigur Rós, or the new Sean Lennon, or, whichever album, ran to go get the new David Bowie, when I have people that work for the labels like, hey, I got you a gift. It's like, oh, I'm buying it anyway. I
Right.
love fucking Bowie, you know.
Well, there was a great time of my life, going to the music store on Tuesdays when, or even a Monday night release. You go Monday at midnight at Tower Records and stand in line
Mhm.
for hours for the new. I think we did that for like Weezer's Pinkerton and things like that, and just getting the CD in your hand and getting out to your car and busting that cellophane off and putting it in and listening to it for the first time. Rather than hearing a clip or, even bands now. What was the new Metallica album? They made videos for every single song before the album was even out. You could hear the entire album before you could go buy it. Or I think Korn or another band put out like 4 singles before the album even came out, and that's just crazy.
We're actually working on 2 videos before. I mean, that's just the way it is, really. I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, for example, Metallica. I think that's really fucking cool that Metallica did a video for every song and just kind of, that's the time, man. It's like, that's the necessary evil, and what artists and bands face today. It's like, and kids give you shit for it if you don't stream something or